Hey guys, I'm back on page 211. Remember, Michael just got home, dying to find his dad. No one's at home, but he had just found a letter sitting on his kitchen table. Here's where that letter said, "Your father is safe. He needs your help. Come alone." That's it. I flipped the paper over to find more on the back. An address, 17878 County Line Road. I have no idea where that is. Somewhere outside the city proper, on the outskirts of New Liberty. I stand there with the paper trembling in my hand. He is safe maybe, but for how long? Until 6 o'clock? Scour the room looking for something else, anything else. No overturned chairs, no missing knives. Even the rolling pin is where it should be. I'm no detective, but it looks like Dad didn't even try to put up a fight. It's as if my dad met whoever it was at the door and just walked away. As if they had some sort of agreement. My eyes return to the basement door. I pull one of the long knives out of the wooden block by the sink for good measure. I have as much business wielding a knife as I do wielding a gun, but it makes me feel better to wrap my fingers around something. 3 slow steps, turn the handle. The door is unlocked. I flip the switch to turn on the light and think back to the day Benjamin, my father, showed me his pictures. Or most of them anyway. A whole line of box makers. "You won't be able to turn back," he says. Can't say he didn't warn me. I take the steps carefully, leaving soggy prints, too conscious of the squishing sound my feet make. The ladder looks the same as always. The computers are still humming away. The kitten is still hanging on for dear life. The shelves are still full. The only thing different is that the usual piles of parts that litter the workbench are gone. In their place sits one of my father's little black boxes, all by itself. The label has an arrow pointing to the green button. It says simply, "Press me." Alice in Wonderland, I think. Sucker for the classics. It could be a trap, of course. Though the writing on the label looks like my father's, there is no guarantee. Somebody could have made him write it. I could press the button and instantly be blown to chunks, or paralyzed with electrical currents, or struck blind again. And yet I'm not sure what other choice I have. I suppose I could call the police. Normal people would probably do that, I guess, in situations like this. I could report that my father, an illegal weapons and gadgets manufacturer with known ties to the city's most wanted criminals, has gone missing. That would go over well. Or I could go back to Aziz and beg him to help me, even though I obliterated his big toe and left him wailing in pain. Or I could just press the button. I take a deep breath and I follow my instincts. The box hums to life. Suddenly my father's face appears on the ceiling, projected from a tiny lens in the box's top. He's dressed in the same clothes as this morning, as yesterday. His voice falters as he talks into the camera. "Michael, if you are watching this, then that means that things didn't go as planned. Either Aziz couldn't help you, or you wouldn't let him help you. It also means that you're still in danger. But this time, you're going to have to save yourself. I want you to know I am sorry I dragged you into all of this. Sorry that I couldn't look after you the way I intended. I thought I could handle it, thought it would be worth it. But I was wrong. I underestimated him. I realized too late, which is why you need to go. As far and as fast as you can. Start a new life, a good life, the kind you deserve. But before you leave, be sure to empty the trash. And also, right before you leave, press the red button on this box. It's okay this time. Just wait until you are ready to walk out the door." The image of my father on the ceiling pauses, then looks me in the eyes. "I love you, son," it says. The picture blinks out and I let myself fall into the chair. His chair. The box in my lap. I press the green button again, though I know I didn't miss anything. I just want to see his face again. But nothing happens. The white button doesn't do anything either. The message has been programmed to play only once. I don't press the red button yet. Instead, I walk to the corner and I push over the hollowed out missile, letting the crumpled papers and the empty chip bags spill out onto the floor. I dig through the wads of discarded notes and blueprints till I find what I'm looking for at the bottom. Buried treasure. 10 bulging wads of $100 bills. $1,000 at least. Probably more. Down payment, I presume, for whatever it is he's been working on. It's a plane ticket to Canada and a new life once I'm there. With my powers, I'm sure I can make it. People will believe just about anything. But I've got an even better use for the money. I leave the cash on the floor and I go back upstairs and I pick up the phone. It takes 6 rings, but eventually he picks up. I can hear more shouting in the background, even more voices this time. Zach, I say. It's Michael. Listen. Tell your boss I have a proposition for him. Okay, he's calling Tony. Let's see what happens. 2 minutes later, I hang up and I go back downstairs. I peel 10 bills off one of the stacks, then wad the rest of it up as best I can, and I stuff it in my backpack. I brought from the front closet. I think again about Aziz's pistol. I certainly won't need it now. There will be plenty of guns to go around. Zach said to give him 10, buying me a little more time. Changing into dry clothes slows my shivering, but doesn't stop it entirely. I stuff the $1,000 in my back pocket, and I slip into some dry socks. My new cross hangers are still wet, but they are the only decent running shoes I've got, and I want to be able to move quickly. I reach inside the one and I pull out the penny. Good luck, she said. I sure hope it starts working soon. I tuck it back in, then sling the backpack full of cash over my shoulder, just as a car pulls into the driveway. Zach is at the front door, dressed in all black, down to the leather jacket and steel-tipped boots. He frowns at me, but doesn't say a word. I already gave him the recap. The SUV rumbles behind him, waiting. I hand him the bag. $100,000, I say, give or take. It's not about the money, he says, but he takes the backpack anyways. Are you ready? Almost, I tell him. Keep the car running. Back downstairs. I just stand at the workbench and I take a deep breath, looking over the shelves of the little black boxes. My father's life work. I don't know what all of them do exactly. Some of them were before my time, but several I had a hand in. I think about what the cops would say if they found them. The secret cache of a criminal mastermind, the arsenal of the insane. That's what an outsider would see. But I just see another in a long line of Edsons, looking for a way to make it in the world. I take the one with me, press me in my cold hands. Never press the red button. That's what he told me. The one time I did was by accident, and it destroyed his workbench and took off 2 sets of eyebrows. Thankfully, my father shielded me with his body, or I might have lost more than that. That was his way. I look over the poster. Sorry, Kitty, I say. Then I press it. The light glows like an ember, and the little box in my hand starts to hum, warming instantly. Whatever chemical or electrical or nuclear reaction I've just triggered is already underway. And it's not the only one. Suddenly all the other boxes start to hum. 100 singing, buzzing boxes rattling around in the shelves. The whole room seems to fill with magnetic energy. Kinetic, frenzied. I look around the room to see 100 little red buttons glowing. Then my father's voice comes through the speaker of the box in my hand, telling me I have exactly 2 minutes to get out of the house. I hurtle up the basement stairs as quickly as I can, through the door and into the waiting SUV, to find myself sitting beside Blades again. He looks the same as last time, save for his left arm being in a sling. Mario, still behind the wheel. Zach is riding shotgun, the backpack in his lap. I want to ask about Indiana Jones, but decide better of it, remembering what the comet did to him, the hole he left in the warehouse wall. Instead, I hand up the piece of paper with the address on the back and tell Mario that he should probably step on it. We've only got about a minute left. We squeal out of the driveway and zoom down the street. Zach is watching the side mirror. I twist to look through the back window and wave goodbye to the house, my home, just as it all explodes. It's right out of a movie. One lone black SUV barreling down the county road, out of town, kicking up dust, sun just starting to crawl its way from behind spent clouds. There is nobody around, just miles of grain fields and wild grass. Then suddenly another black SUV zooms in front, right cutting through the brush of the road. Then another comes from the left, lining up, one behind the other, falling into place. Soon there is a convoy, a cavalcade of all black 4x4s with silver rims and tinted glass. thundering down the highway. I look behind me and I count at least 10. I knew would be joined by the rest of the Romano clan, but the presence of all these trucks full of hired guns makes me even more nervous. I didn't know Tony had this many men, I said to Zach, who turns and smiles at me. He doesn't, Zach says back. Besides me, Blades expertly twirls one of his knives with his good hand. Your father is safe. He needs your help. Come alone. Alone. Or maybe with a squad of 36 heavily armed criminals, some of them blessed with extraordinary abilities. I'm suddenly wondering if I haven't made a huge mistake bringing Tony and whoever else he's got with him to the doorstep of a maniac who has kidnapped my father. Zach is bristling beside me, the tips of his thorns peeking through the back of his neck. Don't worry, he says. You're family. The Romanos, they take care of family. The Romanos take care of a lot of things. I'm not sure this makes me feel any better. Still, it's not something I could do alone. The herd rumbles along the dirt road. As we drive, Zach tells me the plan. It's not complicated. We break in, guns a-blazing, find and rescue Dad. We hug, then he and I have the permission to leave while Tony and the rest have a talk with the dictator. I might have questions for him too, I say. It won't be that kind of talk, Zach tells me. Are you sure we are headed the right way? Mario asks from the driver's seat, tapping on his GPS. This says we only got 3 more miles. I look out the window. The city of New Liberty lies behind us, its skyline obscured by haze. Only cornfields and farmhouses stretch ahead. I start to doubt myself. I always thought supervillains made their homes in dormant volcanoes or abandoned medieval castles, not in the boonies. Maybe there's a lake or something concealing an underwater fortress or a platform hovering up in the clouds, but all I see are hollow barns and abandoned tractors. Maybe it's a phony address, Blade says, or maybe it's a trap. Did you ever think of that? Of course I thought of that. Mario taps the screen again. The nice lady on the GPS says we have arrived at our destination. He pulls to the side of the road. There's nothing here, Mario says. But there is something. A mailbox with the address on it in peeling black letters, 17878. I guess this is it, I say, pointing to the farmhouse across the road. Set back a ways, a rickety-looking wooden 2-story with a wraparound porch and dark windows. A large tin-roof barn sits off to one side. Screams supervillain hideout to me, Zach says. We sit in the car for a couple of minutes, waiting for something. I don't know what, for a rocket to plunge into our side, or a tank to explode out the front of the house, or the noses of a dozen machine guns to nuzzle their way through the windows and open fire. But nothing happens. The place seems deserted. Finally, Mario's cell phone rings and he answers it. He says a few uh-huhs and yes sirs, looking at me long enough to say the word clueless, then hangs up. Boss says, we're going in. I'm going to stop there. I'm on page 220, so 211 to 220. All right, they're there. Let's see what happens next.